My guest today is Clark Bartram. Welcome to the show. He's established himself as one of the world's top online trainers. You're on a quest to get every man to get their prostate checked out. If you're just over the age of 40, you need to get tested.
If you're 25, you need to go get it checked. Well, I'm Clark Bartram, nothing's wrong. I'm fit, I'm in shape and all this sort of stuff. I'm the guy that looks like no other 60-year-old guy does. I would probably have been the last one that anyone would have picked in a lineup to be the guy with prostate cancer. So you might want to go to your doctor. This is my calling. This is why God put me on this planet. And that's what's flowing through these veins that pop out all the time like that right there. So get your blood work done, regardless of your age. Just say, hey, doc.
Welcome to the Lee Labrada Show.
Brought to you by Lean Body, the #1 protein shake in gyms across America.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Lee Labrada Show. We are here to help you on your journey of physical, mental, and spiritual strength. Every episode, we bring on experts who can help us to improve ourselves in these areas. And on this podcast, we're going to be talking about the male prostate gland and the importance of getting it checked for the prevention of prostate cancer. My guest today is Clark Bartram, a celebrated fitness expert, former U.S. Marine, and accomplished fitness model, writer, and trainer. He's established himself as one of the world's top online trainers and previously hosted a TV fitness show. Clark offers online fitness coaching focusing on men over 50. Clark is also the founder and host of Maximized Man podcast. Clark, welcome to the show.
Brother, man, I am so excited to be here with you today because I know we are so like-minded. We have the same purpose and mission and calling in life, and I'm excited to unlock whatever it is we're going to figure out today to help these men on their path to happiness and health and mind, body, and spirit, like you mentioned.
I'm right there with you. So, Clark, you and I have been in the fitness industry for a long time. And for those of you that grew up with muscle magazines, you've probably seen Clark on the cover of more than a few of those. Clark, you've always been a fit guy and you're still in extraordinary shape. And I'd like for you to talk a little bit about your Check It Like a Man, but you're on a quest to get every man to get their prostate checked out, basically. But first, tell us about your fitness journey and how you got to this point today where we're talking about men's prostate health.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention right out of the gate is every time or so many times when I would land a cover, you would reach out to me and say, congratulations, great job, keep up the work. And I want you to know that encouragement from afar on the internet, not being in person, really helped me understand that there are people out there seeing what I'm doing, recognizing the effort that's being put in to create this vision of what is possible for any man anywhere if they choose to commit to a process. And to your point, we've both been in this game a long time. I'm just privileged to be with you because you're a legend in this industry and someone that I've looked up to for a long time. And even still today, you're one of the ones who's maintained a competition-ready body that is you're constantly challenging yourself, now with your son, Hunter, and all of what you're doing, man. It's so cool. So yeah, I got started in this industry a long time ago with a mutual friend of ours who's recently popping up online, Ralph DeHaan. Ralph DeHaan was one of the first photographers to shoot me. And I remember the first photo I ever got in a magazine. It was a little 1x1 square, like a postage stamp, somewhere in the back of Muscle and Fitness. And it was me hounding Ralph DeHaan when I saw him years ago. This was in the 80s. I said, hey, my name's Clark Bartram. I'm always in shape. If you ever need me. He looked at me like, okay, I've heard that a million times. And then I continued to hound him. And he called me one day and said, I have an opportunity. And we went to his studio in Carlsbad, California. And it was a Larry Scott workout. I had to lean against dumbbells like this and do a shoulder press. And that was all I did. It was a teeny little picture, but that is what started this journey that I've been on for 4 decades now. And proudly, I can say I'm still being put on covers and still being shot. And I've got a photo shoot coming up with Michael Nephew next week. So,
well, you're certainly in great shape. So, Clark, tell us how did you get to this point? Where you decided to start the Check It Like a Man program.
Well, unfortunately, I was sitting in this room when I was talking to a urologist after a simple blood work. I've always looked at my blood, and everybody should. And I was looking at it for the sole purpose of seeing how high I could get my testosterone naturally. Because I can probably say no TRT, no HRT, none of it, nothing in my body but hard work and some supplements and things like that. So I'm looking at it one day, and I have my testosterone up to like 784, and I'm all proud, getting ready to go online and brag about it. When my concierge doctor, a company that I worked with, Merrick Health, guy by the name of Jariah, said, Clark, that's all cool and everything, but your PSA is at 9.8. You might want to go to your doctor. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm Clark Bartram. Nothing's wrong. I'm fit. I'm
right.
in shape and all this sort of stuff. Went to my doctor, and now I've gone on this journey, and I did the dreaded DRE, digital rectal exam. And during that exam, he said something as basic as, I feel something there, but I'm not concerned. So my doctor wasn't concerned. So I wasn't concerned, because after all, I'm fit Clark Bartram. I'm the guy that looks like no other 60-year-old guy does. So anyway, you continue down this path from the digital rectal exam to the MRI, which showed a 5 out of 5 on a PIRAD score, which is not good. Then from there to the biopsy, which 7 out of the 12 core samples were cancer.
Okay.
And 1 out of those was a 4+3 on the Gleason scale, which now has me in this place where I'm searching for one, the reasons why I got the cancer. And,
right.
That's really what put me on this path, because I already have a platform, much like you, where I'm speaking to men in this demographic that should be looking at this thing. So
sure.
Came up with this thing called Check It Like a Man, and here we are today. So, Clark, thank you for being so forthcoming and talking about that, and, developing this program to encourage men to check their prostate gland. You and I talked a little bit earlier, and we discussed that we wanted to educate our male audience on the prostate and getting it checked and so forth. And the prostate gland, for those of you guys that don't know, you've probably heard of it, but it's located just below the bladder, and it surrounds the top portion of the urethra, which is the tube that drains urine from the bladder. And the prostate's primary function is to produce seminal fluid, and according to the American Cancer Society, about 1 in 7 men will get prostate cancer. So, it's up there. And some demographics are a little bit more high risk than others. So men that have a higher risk of developing prostate cancer include African Americans and people of Scandinavian descent, and anyone who's got 2 or more family members who are also diagnosed with prostate cancer. So if you guys are in these high-risk groups, or if you're just over the age of 40, you need to get tested. And Clark, what was the first test that they did? It was the PSA test, wasn't it? It was PSA. Like I said, it's a simple blood test that should be included in your regular visits to your doctor. But you just said, Lee, the age of 40. Oftentimes, standard of care has a guideline that they'll follow, which wouldn't include anyone under the age of 40. But like you said, if you're a black man who had a black father who had prostate cancer, if you're 25, you need to go get it checked, because you're at higher risk than somebody who doesn't have that same situation that's been presented to them for whatever reason. I don't know, but that's just the way it is. So if you line up 7 guys, I would probably have been the last one that anyone would have picked in a lineup to be the guy with prostate cancer. So I'll say this, it's no respecter of persons. It didn't matter that I lift every day and I eat right and I do all of these things that would suggest otherwise. I just happen to be the lucky number 7.
Right.
And here I am. So yeah. So one really good way to understand if there's an issue, number one, if you're getting up peeing constantly at night,
right,
or you have trouble with your flow. I was in a airport bathroom yesterday, and a bunch of dudes lined up peeing next to the other, and you can't help but notice this guy peeing. And this older guy came in, and I heard his flow, and it was I'm like, good for you, buddy. Good for you. You're peeing like a teenager, man. And that's what it should be like.
Right, man. Right. Yeah, unfortunately, as we get older, that's not always the case. We go from taking the proverbial porcelain off of the off the toilet to peeing in Morse code, as I've heard it described. And it's funny, but at the same time, it's because of BPH, which is benign prostatic hyperplasia. And that's a mouthful, but basically it's just enlargement of the prostate. And that is something that just happens to men as they get older. In fact, I was told by a urologist that if any man that lives to 80 years old is going to have extensive BPH, enlargement of the prostate. But that enlargement of the prostate is not necessarily cancer. Although enlarged prostates, could be cancerous, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have cancer.
Yeah, that's one thing to mention about PSA. It is we'll call it the gold standard. Some non-urologists disagree with the use of the PSA being the first sign, but more general practitioners will, because a few years ago, they thought that men were being overtreated and getting biopsies when it wasn't necessary and things like that. So the way to consider PSA is like a check engine light in your car. That's all it is.
Right.
It is simply a guide to tell you might want to take a further look. And to your point right now, Lee, it might not be, and hopefully it isn't anything that is going to manifest as cancer. It could just be because you drink too much coffee. Caffeine will cause enlargement of your prostate. Caffeine will cause you to slow down the urine. There are other things. I really believe that energy drinks have a lot to do with it. A lot of the chemicals that are found in those energy drinks. This is my own personal observation based upon me looking at my life, kind of like from the balcony and observing when I had those issues. There's no need for alarm necessarily. And that's unfortunate in our standard of care culture that we live in with Western medicine, is we automatically assume that if we go to a doctor and they say something like it's woe is me, it's the end of our life. Like for me, I haven't had a bad day. I'm really considering this a blessing in disguise. It's leveled me up. It's given me this new platform to speak to men, to have conversations with you about something as important as this. In the way you're describing it, it is so good. And I'm so appreciative of the homework that you've done on this to really educate men, because this is a serious issue, but it's not an issue to be afraid of. It's just one to be aware of and be thoughtful of and be proactive instead of reactive.
Now, a urologist can perform a PSA test, and PSA stands for prostate-specific antigen. That's a big word, but it's a chemical compound that the prostate secretes. And as you said before, PSA has been a bit controversial. There are some in the medical community that think it's, that it's a good place to start. I think it's a good place to start, but certainly it's not the end all, right? Because you could come back with an slightly elevated PSA, depending on your age. But if that doesn't accelerate over a period of time, then you might be okay. But at the same time, I would say that sometimes some urologists are too quick to go to a biopsy. And that can have its own repercussions because it's invasive. It basically pokes holes in the prostate. But at the end of the day, it's important that you get checked by your doctor, by your primary care physician, or better yet, a urologist. Certainly we're not doling out medical advice. What we're doing is actually encouraging you to go to a medical practitioner to get that PSA check. So, Clark, let's talk a little bit about your program. Can you tell me a little bit about how you're going about raising awareness and what it's all about?
So, doing this, I am on every podcast that I can get on. I'm speaking everywhere I can speak. I was just on the news, flew to Sacramento and did Mark Bell's podcast yesterday. I've got another podcast after this today, and my message is check it like a man. And that is the organization that I created. If anyone knows me, they know I'm a man of action, and not just action, but immediate action. So the minute I got the diagnosis, I thought to myself, okay, how can I use this to benefit the people who already know, like, and trust me? Because we know in this world, it's all about know, like, and trust. So I have I don't like, I have a lot of people who appreciate my content and come to me for information. And I take that very seriously, as do you, because this is my calling. This is why God put me on this planet. So I believe I'm the best guy for this diagnosis. So the minute I got it, I said, okay, what am I going to do? I called one of my advisors, people that I have speaking into my life, mentors, spiritual fathers, different people. And I said, what can I do? And the collective was, you need to start a nonprofit organization and use your platform as something that's going to help you spread the message. Because Lee, as well as I do, when we're out there saying, hey, we can help you get fit, we're too far ahead of our demographic for them to really wrap their head around, I'll never look like Lee Labrada. Well, the truth is you probably won't, but you certainly can try to move to look your best. So what this has done for me is really kind of leveled the playing field. Now I'm not Clark Bartram, the ripped old guy. I'm Clark Bartram, the ripped old guy that now has this diagnosis that more guys can relate to me and go, oh, he's not immortal. He's regular. He's just a guy like me. And that's been my message all along. But this now has given me the opportunity to really go, here I am.
There you are.
I don't want it to be wasted.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job of getting the word out. Now, let me ask you this: who amongst us males should get it checked?
Everyone should get it checked because here's
any
the deal.
age, any age.
You should be getting regular blood work. Every man that I coach, every man that you coach, I just know you, your integrity, your intelligence. You're one of the most intelligent bodybuilders that's ever been around.
Thank you.
You, Frank Zane, guys like that have really studied the human body. And I was just with Frank not too long ago. But anyway, you are telling people like I am, get your blood work done, because I'm not going to tell you, hey, go do a keto diet or go do this unless we have data. So here's something that's really important that people don't understand or think about. When or if, or hopefully never, if you get a diagnosis like mine, you have the ability to data mine information about you that dates back as far as you've done these tests to give your attending physician, whether it be standard of care or we'll call it non-traditional medicine, so they can look at this and piece together a protocol for you that isn't so barbaric as some of the standard of care things, that isn't so radical, like a radical prostatectomy or hormone deprivation therapy. A lot of these things that are being thrown at me and I'm going, oh, time out, wait a minute. I'm collecting data here from the most valuable source that I have. And that's what's flowing through these veins that pop out all the time like that right there. So, that's it. So get your blood work done. And regardless of your age, just say, hey, doc, can you throw in PSA for me just for the heck of it? But the problem is they're going to go, well, you're not 40 yet. You don't need it. And you have the right to say, but I want it. And I would like to have it. It should be there. What more? You don't need to take more blood. I can get enough blood from 6 drops to test everything in your body.
Right.
Facts.
Right. That is the fact. And so you're encouraging guys to start having their PSA measured straight away.
Why not? If you're already having blood pulled out of your vein for a variety of reasons, you have the right to tell your doctor, regardless of what insurance says, regardless of what your risk factors are, regardless what the standard of care guidelines might be, your right is to say, hey, can you throw testosterone and free testosterone and sex hormone binding globulin in there? Well, why? Because I want to. That's why. Right. That's all you need to know, Dr. So-and-so.
Sure. It's good to have that data. And I will tell you, in my own case, I've actually been tracking my PSA and have been doing blood work for many, many years. I've got my PSA scores for the last 15 years, and so I can see from year to year how that's changing, if it's changing, and take appropriate steps. So I think that's a real important thing. Now, speaking of next steps, if I'm not getting too personal, what are next steps for you? What are you going to do at this point?
So what I'm doing, there are 4 points for me: slow the cancer, stop the cancer, destroy the cancer, and heal the reasons for getting the cancer. No standard of care doctor is going to tell you that. And so I'm taking a different approach.
Okay.
Because I understand through my own research, much like you do, I know that given the type of cancer that prostate cancer is, it's slow growing. So I don't need to act in a hurry because some doctor who might be the surgeon is saying, hey, we need to cut this out. Oh, no, time out. I got time. So I'm smart enough. I'm watching everything. I'm looking at my PSA numbers every week. But while I'm looking at the standard of care options that are available, should I choose to go down one of those, I've hired another guy who came highly recommended, who we are looking at data in me. So I have over 100,000 data points on me that show me gut biome. Everyone's talking about gut biome right now. That's real. So I've pooped, peed, spit, and bled into more containers that I could tell you to data mine. The only thing I haven't taken yet is hair. I've got 2 more tests out there that are new tests that in the 8 months since I've been diagnosed, or however long it's been, have come out that weren't available before, that can tell us new things about my cancer. My tumor is being shipped out to different labs and having different geneticists look at it to determine the cancer and what I can do specifically on a, we'll call it holistic level, to eliminate chemicals, to eliminate parasites, to eliminate bacteria and different things. So what we've determined based upon all of this data that we've collected on me over the last 6 months, 8 months, is that there is bacteria in my gut at higher levels than should be for me. So I'm eliminating that through a variety of different things. One of them is a ton of supplements that I'm taking, prebiotics, probiotics, all sorts of stuff. If I showed you the amount of pills I was taking, you would trip out. But I'm trusting this person that I've given my care to. I'm doing EWOT training, exercise with oxygen. When I'm done here, I'm going to go strap on a mask, do cardio for 20 minutes, breathing oxygen in, sweating with a sweatsuit on to eliminate a lot of the chemicals that I've been exposed to. There are heavy metals in my body that I know now in my blood that come from endocrine disruptors like toothpaste that we've been using since we were kids. I now have a toothpaste brand that is free of endocrine disruptors, shampoo, and all of these things that we do in life that we don't know. So I'm eliminating things that may or may not be the cause, but I'm certainly not going to have that be something that I need to be concerned about if I do radiation later on.
Right.
That's something that men don't do. They just go listen to the doctor and get it cut, burned, radiated, or poisoned out.
So you haven't ruled those out, but you want to strengthen your body and your health as much as possible. See how far that takes you, and then if you need to do one of the conventional medical applications, then your body is stronger to be able to aid that and fight it in a healthy way.
I'm running a parallel race, exactly. So you've got the standard of care model over here that I'm communicating with everyone that I've trusted my care with, my urologist, a certain radiologist that I'm speaking to, that I've narrowed down because I've interviewed many, many people. And then I've got this protocol over here that most men don't do. Most men don't look at, like, what are the reasons?
Why do you have it in the first place?
Yeah. So here's the problem with the standard of care model. Now, I'm not bashing our medical system. I'm just bringing things to light that need to be brought to light. So if I go in and just willy-nilly cut out an organ, an excretory organ, like you said, it's responsible for seminal fluid. If I cut that out, and because to your point, it's near the urethra, I have now the risk of incontinence, peeing my pants, and not being able to get an erection for the rest of my life. That's a possibility because of the vein bundles and all of what's happening there in that delicate organ. So if I just listen to this doctor and go get that cut out, now I'm at risk of this for the rest of my life.
Right.
So I am looking at these reasons why I got it and trying to eliminate that so I don't need to go down this path of something that might be a little bit more nefarious down the line. I was going to say something specific to that. I lost it. But anyway, if it comes back to you, I'll certainly bring it back up. Clark, let me ask you this. Where can our viewers find out more information about you, and where can they follow you and find your program? Yeah, so my program where I coach men over 50 is called Maximize Man Elite. That came from a spiritual mentor of mine, a man by the name of Ed Cole. He wrote a book called Maximize Manhood, and I didn't even realize that I was taking that from what I learned from him. So what I teach men in the Maximize Man Elite program, I coach them on mindset, meals, movement, community, and integrity. because all of these things are important to be a fit human, because we can't separate the body, mind, and spirit, to your point on the introduction. My website is just clarkbartram.com. I've got clarkbartramsystems.com. That's where you can find my blood test kit that I ship out to men with. This has got 7 different, you don't even need to go anywhere to get this now. I have my foundation, which is checkitLikeAman.org. People can donate money there to help me. Like I flew to Sacramento yesterday. That cost me $800. I shouldn't have to pay for that if I'm out here trying to educate men. I'm flying all around doing all of these things to create awareness, to interview doctors, and to do things that a guy who's not in my position could do. I understand that guys work normal jobs. I'm fortunate to have set myself up in a life where I can do these things. So that's why I've created this non-for-profit organization that is creating awareness, which for me will be the go-to organization for men's prostate health. Just like we think of Susan Komen for the walk for breast cancer. I want Check It Like a Man to be the organization that men think about because of that fit old guy. Like, now I know why I've done all of what I've done. Now I know why I have all of those magazine covers. Like, God was setting me up for this day, Lee. God was setting me up for this day in my life.
Amen to that. That's wonderful. Obviously, your faith plays an important part in this, Clark.
It has to. It has to. And for people to look at me at face value like, oh, that guy drops the F-bomb, that guy does. Yeah, none of that stuff matters. What matters at the end of the day is the fact that I know for sure that when I lay my head down on my pillow at night, that my Father is proud of me for the man that I am and the people that I'm serving. My mission statement and my purpose statement in life is to positively and powerfully affect everyone I come into contact with. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will be glad and rejoice in it. That's what I recite in the morning.
Amen, brother.
And these opportunities are just an extension of that allow me to get this message out. And if I wasn't doing things right, I wouldn't be given these privileges. You would see through the BS and go, yeah, I'm not letting that Clark guy on my podcast. No way.
Well, I'll tell you what, you have done and are continuing to do an amazing job of helping people and enriching their lives, and now calling attention to a problem that many males will potentially face in their lifetime. Clark, any parting thoughts that you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, I'd say, men, listen, regardless of what condition you're in right now, you need to understand that your body is a gift. With respect to what Lee and I just talked about, our faith and the belief that we have one life and it's up to us to live it. And I want to speak to men who have sons. I had mentioned earlier about Lee's son, Hunter, and I have a son. And the most influential person in a child's life is the same-sex parent. So I want you to be the man who shows up in that role and show up with confidence, show up with bravado, show up being the man that you know you're called to be. Be the man that is standing in the gap for your family when they can't do it for themselves. And the best way you can do that is by being in great health. It's not being a Lee Labrada or being anyone else. It's being the best version of you possible. So ask yourself this question. What's my next best move? How can I move towards that ideal body? How can I elevate my energy, my confidence in my life so that when my son or anyone in your circle of influence looks at you and goes, that's a man right there. That's a man.
Clark, that is such great advice. And man, that is just so motivational. This has been great today. And I just want to thank you on behalf of myself and all of our viewers.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for allowing me on your platform. And honestly, it's an honor. You're a legend in this industry. And I don't say that lightly. People throw that thing around, but you, sir, have paved a path in this world we call bodybuilding. And I got a bunch of photos on my wall. I got Arnold and Frank and another Frank down there. And I got Jay. The only one that's missing is you. So I need an autographed black and white photo of Lee Labrada signed to me so you can go on this wall here.
On the wall of fame.
Right there.
And next time that I see you, we'll take one together, because that would be even better for me.
All right, my brother. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Clark. Hey, guys, help us to grow the Lee Labrada Show by sharing this podcast with all of your friends. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment below. All right, you guys, stay motivated, get up, and look up. God bless you.
The Lee Labrada Show.
Thunder from a distant shore. Voices in my head imprison me. Wanna hold